It is my honor to introduce Mr. Tommy Hilfiger.
I brought this for a reason. The reason I brought this is because there's a story behind it. When I was a teenager, I decided I was going to be a professional football player. And I went out for the tryouts on my football field near my house, the Elmira Academy football field. And the coach came over and said, "Tommy, let me have a word with you." He said, "I think you're a little bit too light to play with these guys." They weighed 200 pounds, I weighed 120, and I unfortunately agreed with him. So that was the end of my football career, but I still have a great love for the game. As a result of that failure and that disappointment, I decided to do something else. I decided to become a businessman. I didn't really know what a businessman was, but I knew I wanted to be in business. So I started listening to the rock music of the time, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and I loved the way all of the rock stars dressed. So I thought, well, if I dressed like them, I could open a store and sell clothes like they wear. And all my friends would love to wear those clothes because it was in 1969, during sort of the hippie revolution, when people were growing their hair long and wearing bell-bottoms and wearing a totally different type of fashion. So I took $150 I'd saved from working evenings in a Hess gas station. I drove to New York City, which was about 5 hours away, in my Volkswagen Beetle. I loaded up the trunk with 20 pairs of jeans. I brought them back to my school parking lot. I opened the trunk and said, "Surprise, jeans, $5 a pair." So I started selling jeans out of the trunk of my car in my high school parking lot, and subsequently found a basement to rent in the downtown Elmira, New York shopping area. I called it People's Place. I opened for business at 3 o'clock in the afternoon after school and on weekends, and I went into business. My parents urged me to go to college. I fought with them because I told them I wanted to be in business, not in school. It is something I regret today. I think I would have avoided many obstacles along the way had I gone to school. But I took the path of, I would say, resistance, but went into business when I was 18 years old officially. And I opened what I called People's Place in 1969. So within a short amount of time, I was buying merchandise from other manufacturers, but could never really find what I was satisfied with for my customers, for myself. So one day I took a sketch pad out and a pen, started drawing ideas, jeans with pockets and jean vests and jackets and all sorts of clothes. And I thought I should have them made and sold in my stores, because at that point I would be able to control my own destiny with my own product. So I hired local seamstresses, I bought fabric in local fabric stores, and I created my own line of clothes. I told my family and friends I wanted to then move to New York City and go into competition with this guy Ralph Lauren and this other guy Calvin Klein, and rattled off all these names, and they said, "You're crazy, you'll never be able to do that." And I said, "No, I will, because this is what I want to do." And friends and family said, you have to go to design school, and you need connections, and you need a lot of money, and you have to learn the technical aspect of it. You have to be able to cut patterns, and you have to be able to sew, and there's no way you'll ever be able to do that. And I said, "I will do it." So within a short amount of time, I left Elmira. I sold my business after a bankruptcy. And the bankruptcy came about because I really wasn't watching the P's and Q's, as they say. I moved to New York City and started designing for a number of different manufacturers so I could learn the ins and outs of the fashion business before I went into competition with my heroes. I was fortunate enough to meet a man by the name of Mohan Rajani, an Indian gentleman who owned Gloria Vanderbilt jeans at the time. And Gloria Vanderbilt jeans were really the first designer jeans. And in the 70s, designer jeans were the craze. So he backed me, and he basically put me in business. A man by the name of Tom Curtin, who's sitting in the front row in this audience, who is a graduate of this school, who brought me here today, actually negotiated my contract with Mirjani and helped me get into business with this gentleman in a very professional way. Reason I'm bringing that up is not only because I'm proud and honored to be Tom's friend for over 30 years, and proud and honored to consider him my lawyer on record, who handles all of that stuff I don't like to deal with. But I would also like to say that he has been a mentor to me and a guiding light all this time. So I think you should all give Tom Curtin a hand for... Tom, could you stand up so they know who you are? He's also brought me to campus before to go to Notre Dame games, meet the players, the coaches. They didn't need me on the field. I don't know why, still to this day. I figured today if I bring the helmet, maybe they'll put me on the field. Long story short, I had a dream, and my dream was to build a global lifestyle brand. I wanted to build a brand that would compete with the best of the best in the world. I wanted to build a different mousetrap. I had a dream to create a line of clothing that would be unlike anyone else's. I wanted to reach back into my roots when I wore preppy clothes in grammar school and early high school and redesign them. I wanted to recreate the khakis, the button-down shirt, the varsity jacket. I wanted to recreate the American classics, which I did. I took every one of those items out of my closet and I redesigned every single detail, from the buttons to the thread to the pocketing to the fits. And I created what we call New American Classics, which evolved into Cool American Classics. This is before Abercrombie. This is before the Gap came about with a strong presence in their own product. I wanted to compete with Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, and all the top names. And I did just that. And I did it with never giving up. And I did it with many obstacles in front of me. And I did it with great teams of people I surrounded myself with. Because my philosophy was that if I couldn't do it myself, I would have to hire someone who could do it for me. I was studying business myself, trying to figure out what it was in this world of business that would set us apart from the competition. And it wasn't just the creative. I knew we needed both the creative and the business acumen in order to rise ahead. So I wanted to understand what it was that would really push the buttons on the consumer. And I figured it out. It was having the right quality, the right product, the right price, the right marketing, the right advertising, the right people wearing the clothes, the right technical fit, being at the right place at the right time, the perfect price point in the world, and never giving up. So we put the clothes in Macy's and Bloomingdale's and all the top stores in the world, and basically what we found was that the customer wanted to become casual. And this was at the beginning of the casual revolution. This is when people were dressed like I'm dressed today for the office. And times changed, the rules changed. Casual Fridays came about, then casual Thursdays and Wednesdays, and then finally Silicon Valley basically outlawed ties. Wall Street was not concerned with their corporate executives wearing suits and ties to work, and I was at the right place at the right time. But I had the right product, and I had a product that was preppy American classic with a twist to differentiate it at the right price, fitting the right way, in the right stores. So everything sort of happened like the perfect storm. And then we opened women's wear and reached out to the female consumer, and then children's wear, and then fragrance and belts and wallets and socks and shoes and home furnishings and handbags and anything and everything that related back to the brand, but with a string attached to it, that it would look as if it came from the same idea person. although we have many different designers and creative people working for me, we're always somehow gaining steam as a result of making sure that everything is designed with the same framework, the same thought process in mind. Preppy, classic, American, American cool. Classic with a twist. Still in that same price point area, same in that same positioning. And in 1995, we decided to take the company public. So we took the company public, and it gave us the financing to be able to open shops in department stores, our own shops. It gave us the financing to be able to advertise and market with the big boys. And we planted seeds in Europe. Today, Europe is 65% of the total. And the rest of the world is now accounting for much more of the total of the Tommy Hilfiger brand. We look at the United States as almost a region, because if you look at Europe as a region and Asia as a region, South America as a region, you find that there are different regions in the world. And what we learned was that we traveled well. Our ideas, our concepts, our advertising, our marketing, and our product was so well accepted outside of the United States, it was a phenomenon. And it gave us additional growth. We had stalled growth in the mid to late 90s, and we've studied it to death to figure out what it was. And we finally figured out that it was really oversupplying the demand. And that is really a business no-no when you oversupply the demand, because what happens is you get a backlash, and you get a backup of inventory and merchandise, and it hurts. In 1999 and 2000, our business dropped $500 million at retail. It went from $1 billion to $500 million. That is a dramatic drop. And that is almost being out of business in the US department stores. Because when you have competitors who are gaining speed and you're losing speed, what do you do? And we had a dilemma on our hands. So we looked at the entire situation. As a public company, our stock was at an all-time low. And we decided to, number one, take the company private, to buy back the stock from the investors when it was at an all-time low. And we decided to look at what we were doing in, excuse me, we looked at what we were doing overseas and in Europe. And what we were doing in the overseas markets and in Europe was different than what we were doing in the US. We had a higher quality product, a slightly higher quality price point. We were in our own stores rather than department stores. We were not over supplying the demand. And we had a perfect balance with a lot of growth and a lot of steam. So we decided to take that philosophy back to the United States. We decided to go to many department stores we were represented in, such as the Dillard's of the world, and the Bon-Ton stores, and a number of different stores you've probably heard of. And we decided to exit those stores. We decided to pull our product out of those stores because they weren't handling our product properly. They weren't treating it well. They weren't respecting it. They weren't putting it in the right fixturing. They weren't putting it in the Tommy Hilfiger shops we had built. The Tommy Hilfiger shops and the Dillard's had some of Ralph Lauren, some of the Dillard's brand, some of the Levi's brand, and we decided to put a stop to it. So we, as we said in those days, bit the bullet. We took a big hit by coming out of all of those stores and saying no more. And we decided not to sell the discount chains any more product. We decided to pull back the distribution and create a deal that we say today is a deal made in heaven with Macy's. Macy's, being the largest and best department store group in the United States and actually the world, offered us something great. They offered us the opportunity to be exclusive with them. So we decided to pull out of all the other retailers in America, other than our own stores, and create an exclusive agreement with Macy's to handle and retail all of our product. So if you go into a Macy's today, you see a men's shop, a women's shop, a children's shop, fragrance area, large sizes, shoes, handbags, gloves, socks, belts, wallets, accessories, jewelry, watches, all over the store. So we are the designer brand in Macy's. And our business doubled and tripled, and it's on its way to quadrupling again. So we turned the business around with a new philosophy. And what that shows you is that you have to stay fluid at all times. And even though the business was growing and is still growing in Europe and Asia and South America, it wasn't enough. We had to get the US business back on track. And we had tried many different methods over the last 10 years. None of those methods worked. We tried changing the product, making it more expensive, making it cheaper, more pockets, less pockets, more advertising, less. But it was really a simple philosophy. It was about supply and demand. And I think that's something they teach in business school today, that you never oversupply the demand, there has to be a balance. Well, we learned it ourselves, and we learned it the hard way. As a result of going into Macy's and repositioning the business and having, I would say, a very strong comeback, we were recently acquired by a company called Phillips Van Heusen. And Phillips Van Heusen is a company who owns Calvin Klein, Izod, Bass, Phillips Van Heusen, Aero Shirts, and has the largest dress shirt neckwear business in the world. They have all the names from Kenneth Cole to Michael Kors in neckwear and dress shirts. They're a very solid, strong company, and we've recently been acquired by them. But what does that mean to me? A lot of people ask. What it means to me is that we have new partners, because I have a lifetime contract. So it allows me to stay on and do what I do, but allows yet a stronger company to really own and manage our brand. And that gives me great comfort, because we have synergies now that we never had before. We can go into factories and buy millions and millions of yards of fabric. And we can go into different areas of the world and control the manufacturing and the distribution. So now we are in yet even a better place. It's a new journey, new partners, as I said before, but it makes us one of the largest apparel companies in the world, and it was one of the largest apparel acquisitions ever in the industry. But bigger is not always better, because we found out that bigger sometimes hurts if you don't have the right controls in place. And the right controls in place happen as a result of having the right people in place. And many people ask me so many times why I think we're successful, and I have mainly one standard answer, and the answer is that it's always about the people. It's about people who are loyal, passionate, dedicated, driven, intelligent, focused. And I've been, I think, fanatical about surrounding myself over the years with great people. It's like the football team. If you have a great coach but a lousy team, you don't have much. But if you have a great coach and great teammates, you've got a great team. So I've always had that philosophy in mind. But along the way, I also had other philosophies. Excuse me. My philosophy along the way, excuse me, and a dream of mine was to be charitable and to give back and to go back to my hometown of Elmira, New York, and do something for the community. We built a community center for the underprivileged children. We have been involved in the Fresh Air Fund, helping young children go to summer camps. Tom has been a great help in bringing me celebrities like some of the New York Giants and politicians to events to sell more tickets and basically obtain more money for the Fresh Air Fund to build better camps and to put more children through their summer camps every year. But we've been involved in many different charities, from MS, my sister has MS, to breast cancer, to AIDS. We feel it's very important to give back. We've recently adopted a village in Africa through the Millennium Promise. We helped build, being built now, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on the Mall in Washington, D.C. We feel it's very important to give back, and we feel it's very important in the future to become much more sustainable. We are a company spread out all over the world, and we're making great strides in becoming more green in recyclable packaging with the light bulbs we use in our headquarters and offices around the world. We're becoming, I think, much more responsible as human beings, and that is very meaningful to me. As a matter of fact, it is as meaningful as possibly a new fashion show or coming out with a new collection. I mean, those are things we do on a day-to-day basis and on a year-to-year and season-to-season basis. But these things people don't have to do. These things come from the heart. And I also like surrounding myself with people who appreciate doing that as part of the Tommy Hilfiger company. People who really enjoy and appreciate the fact that we as a company are focused on that. So we feel that in the future, that all companies should do what we're doing. Can we convince them to do it? Highly unlikely. Many companies here in the United States are very charitable, but the companies in Europe and Asia and outside of the United States really don't care very much. And they're not companies with heart and soul like our company. So if I were to talk about what I'm proudest about, most proud about, I am, I guess, the proudest of the fact that we are a giving, loving company. And that will probably go down in history as being the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, and I tell people this one-on-one usually, I don't tell a large crowd of people, they're just clothes we're dealing with. But the clothes make us money, they keep us busy, they're a lot of fun. The fashion business is a thriving business. It'll never go out of style because people need clothes. It will change, it will evolve. It's like an amoeba, it'll keep moving. And it is exciting because no 2 days are alike. We're doing all sorts of different things, from looking at colors one day to dressing celebrities another day to hosting fashion shows a different day to coming out to speak at universities. As a matter of fact, I was just at Wharton in Philadelphia speaking during a big snowstorm. And I was very impressed. But I understand you are ranked higher. So congratulations. I think that's commendable. So I think you have most of my story. I'm married. I have 7 children. I live in New York City. I have 8 brothers and sisters. I like to consider myself as being the normal designer. And I like to consider myself as being interested and interesting, but most interested in doing something new and breaking through all the time. So with this new acquisition and this new journey, it's very exciting to me. I'm 59 years old, almost 60 years old. And first of all, I never thought I would be over 40, but I never thought I would be in this position. So I'm grateful to this day, and I appreciate where I am in life. And I think that you never stop learning, never stop exploring, never stop looking under those rocks for something new and exciting to be inspiring and to carry your mind forward. So I am in a great position, have a great family, great friends, and ultimately been very, very lucky. So I feel fortunate to be here today. I feel lucky to be able to stand here and speak to all of you, and I hope you have a lot of good questions, because I think we have a few minutes for questions. Thank you. Yes.
Do you have advice for somebody who's perhaps not the most fashion savvy, but sees an issue within the retail market, especially for women, and would like to go after tackling it, but has no idea where to start?
Absolutely. I would like to say, first of all, in the fashion business, there are so many opportunities that have nothing to do with the color or the look or the style, but business opportunities, great business opportunities in merchandising, in business management, in production management, in sourcing, international sourcing, in legal, in trademarking, in copywriting. I mean, there are enormous opportunities. And I think if you were to look at the fashion business as a whole, very few people are fashionable in the business, but they like the fashion business because it is an exciting and growing business. Hopefully that gives you some sort of an answer, but ultimately I don't think you have to be fashionable to be in the business. You have to have this to be in the business. Yes?
Just going to ask, Tommy, my sister's in fashion in England, and she says it's very notorious, it's very hard to get into. Would you have any tips on, how to get into it, basically? Is networking important? Is doing anything on the side important? Just any general tips for someone wanting to get into it?
I suggest going into retail, because retail is where it all happens. This is where the money is exchanged for the fashion. And the more you learn about the consumer at the retail point of sale, the more seasoned you become, and the more interesting you become to other manufacturers, other stores. And it is a ladder where you start working maybe as a stock person in a mall store, but maybe then you go into a training program at a Macy's, and then maybe you climb up the executive ladder and become one of their corporate executives, and maybe then a store manager where they send you to a different part of the country and then a different part of the world, and then maybe you become involved in product development where you have to travel worldwide to find sources for products. So I think retail is a great start. Thank you. Yes?
Congratulations on your recent acquisition.
Thank you.
I was wondering how that will change your business, if at all, from a creative standpoint. Will that allow you the autonomy that you would like from a design and stylistic point of view?
Phillips Van Heusen owns Calvin Klein, and the Calvin Klein business has actually improved over the 8 years since they acquired it. And they have allowed the business and the staff to run it the way they would run it without them there. So the idea would be that we would continue to run our business the way we have in the past without the big brother watching over our shoulders, as long as we turn in the results. So they would like the autonomy. They would like to leave us the way we are. Thank you. Yes?
Has your strategy changed at all for today's culture?
It's changing from maybe a marketing aspect. The strategy for today's culture is different than it was even 5 years ago. We are up and running on Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. We're advertising and marketing through the social networks. We're reaching the consumer in a different way. We are growing our e-commerce business. So we believe that living in this day and age, we have to be in keeping with the times. So we believe that it will evolve and change as we go along. We have to be a part of it and stay on top of it. Yes?
I have a follow-on to that. That earlier presentation used the term sustainable. We have a lot of brands that are out there, and obviously some doing well, some with high airflow. How do you keep the brand fresh? I mean, not so much from the commercial standpoint, but from design, working with the customer.
Well, I think everything you say to the consumer has to be fresh. from the advertising to the in-store display, to the colors, to the way the clothes are displayed and worn in the store, or worn by our own employees. It may be the same shirt, but it may be a little bit slimmer this season. It may be a little bit brighter, may have more detail, less detail, maybe washed. We may show it with a different type of jean, or a different type of skirt, or a different type of jacket. So it's always changing. And I think freshness is the key to keeping alive and keeping that evolution going. Because the opposite of fresh is stale, and you don't want to be stale in the fashion business. Thank you. Yes?
Which foreign markets excite you the most right now, and what are some challenges you see in entering and managing foreign markets?
Well, the number one market obviously is China. We have a number of different outlets in China today, and we believe that our growth in China will be larger than the growth in any other country, any other continent. We are actually positioned very well in China because there's a large growing middle class. And the large growing middle class is very status and brand conscious. They want foreign brands, they want status brands, they want quality brands, but they don't want to, cannot pay for a Gucci or a Prada or a Louis Vuitton. They're very proud people. They're making money for the first time ever in their lives, and they want to spend it wisely. So we feel that our brand is positioned so well in China. China is going to be an explosive market for us. Having said that, the Indian market is also growing very rapidly and has the same set of circumstances in that there's a large growing middle class, whereas before there was a very, very upper echelon, a higher class, and a very lower class. There was nothing in between. So now, with a lot of job growth and a lot of technical job growth, there is a large population consisting of the upwardly mobile middle class, and they are no longer wearing the traditional Indian gear that their parents wore, but they're wearing jeans and, they're wearing Levi's, Nikes, Tommy Hilfiger shirts. They're eating at McDonald's. They're drinking Coca-Cola. They're listening to the same music. They're carrying around their Apple iPods. They're carrying around maybe they're carrying around their iPads now, I'm not sure. But these two markets are the biggest growth areas. Having said that, we are in South America in a very big way. We've been there for 20 years, and we see huge growth coming out of Brazil, Argentina, and different countries in South America.
Do we have time for one more
Yes.
question? I think it's pretty incredible how you've been able to maintain your vision from pulling the clothes out of the closet to where you find yourself today. For a young entrepreneur, what were some key advice you have to maintain that vision while at the same time taking advantage of growth opportunities, and not letting the vision become diluted?
Okay. I think you have to first put your vision through a filter, and you have to figure out whether or not your vision is realistic. If you're inventing something that two people and a dog will be attracted to, I think you should go back to the drawing board. And I knew in the clothing business that there was a large audience. And I knew that if I designed clothes people would actually wear and could afford, there would be great opportunity. I see a lot of people with lots of ideas, and sometimes the ideas are really ideas for themselves rather than for a broad audience. And if you develop something that is focused towards a broad audience, that is different than what exists out there already, you have a great opportunity. But if you do have a vision for something and a passion for something, never give up that passion, because that's where you should be in life. And I think a lot of people go to school thinking that they should graduate, go to work for a law firm or a bank or a large institution, because that's what you should be doing. But if you have a passion in life, you should follow that passion, because the money will come. And that's because it's something you will wake up every morning excited about. And I think if you wake up every morning excited about doing something you love, you will be successful somehow. But if you're waking up thinking, oh, you know, I have to wake up, I have to go to this job, it pays well, but I still have to, you know, I still have to do it, but I hate what I do every day, but I'm still thinking about my hobby or my passion, I think you should give up the well-paying job and go after your hobby and passion. Because that, I mean, if you think of Steve Jobs, you think of Bill Gates, and you think of the most, Walt Disney, the most successful, iconic business people in the world, they followed their passion. They didn't go to work in an institution because they thought that was the thing to do to put food on the table. They followed their passion. But maybe your passion is to work in a large institution and go to the top. I think that's a good passion as well. And I think that many of you, having the opportunity to receive an education from this incredible school, will have amazing opportunities out there. And I congratulate all of you. And I know it's difficult to get in.
At the University of Notre Dame, our faculty and staff, I'd like to present you with our token of appreciation. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much. I like the paper. I think it would make a great tie. I'm sure you have them in the bookstore. Please let it be me on the football field. In full gear. Okay. Incredible. Well, this is certainly historical. Fantastic. Good going. I'll hang it above my helmet. Thank you very much.